My battery won't hold a charge. And chances are, if you have a C6, Z06, and ZR1, yours doesn't either after a while. But guess what? I got a solution. It's pretty common for these cars for the battery to go bad. The reason why is there's a parasitic draw somewhere in the system on them. Some people say it's because of the OnStar system activating even when the car's not running, or other people say it's when you run a mild to wild for the exhaust. I haven't done a parasitic draw on test on mine myself, probably should, but the fact of the matter is I needed a new battery because what I had just wouldn't hold a charge. It just went dead too many times, and that's what happens. So there's usually two options. Most people will say just go down to your local AutoZone or Walmart, pay $100, get a battery, cheapo battery that fits, throw it in the back, and you're good to go. It's a great option. But I wanted something a little more. I have a preference to the newer style AGM or absorbent glass mat batteries. Unfortunately, Optima doesn't make a battery that fits in these cars. I've had good luck with Optima myself, and if that was the case, if they made one that fit, I'd have one in the back of it. But the only company that makes one that's a direct fit is Odyssey. And it's a great battery, but it also comes with a great price. It's about $275, more than what most people want to spend on a battery, including me. So I started doing a little research, and I found that if you go down to your local Sam's Club, you can buy this battery right here for about $135, at least at the time that I made this video, and not including tax or any core charges if you can't bring a core with you to trade in. And it's very, very highly rated. Consumer Reports, if you follow Consumer Reports, I do for some things, rates it as their #1 battery for that size. Now, if you'll notice, it's not quite the same height as a factory size battery. It's just a little bit taller. And so what people do is sometimes they shave down the inside of the factory strap that holds the battery down to make room for that. I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to weaken that strap. But so what I did is I found that buying this battery in an $8 bolt kit on Amazon and modifying the bolt kit just a little bit is the solution. Here's how I did it. Check it out. So here it is. This is a battery that I did a lot of research on and determined that it is probably the best value dollar for dollar. And it is the Duracell Platinum AGM. Right there is what's important. The 47 are known as the H5. And what's nice is the factory strap fits like a charm on it, like it should. But as you saw in the pictures before, this battery is a little taller, right? In fact, the factory hold down isn't going to quite have enough bite. It's right around that height right there to be secure. So here's the factory hold down bolt, and as I mentioned, just not quite long enough. I had a hard time finding anything from General Motors that was just a little bit longer. So what I did is I started searching around, and I went over to, I don't know, my local O'Reilly or something, and found this Super Start battery hold down bolt kit, and it came with a couple of what looks like these. I had to do a couple things. First, I had to modify it by cutting the hook down because I couldn't get it in the factory bolt location, and I also had to trim this down because it was too long. It would actually not clear, deep in the cubby hole that the battery sits in. But then, and that worked out okay. But it just seemed kind of flimsy, and I don't know, it just didn't feel right about it. So I did some more searching around. Went over to Amazon, like I buy just about everything. You might have seen these at your local store, the Dorman Help line. And this is battery hold down kit 00583. This is the one that you need. And what you do is you get a couple of these. These are pretty stout by comparison to the previous one. In fact, it's even a little more stout than the factory bolt. So it's got a different style, comes with a different style hook. Looks like it's a little more, I don't know, robust. Nut and bolt instead of the little wing nuts, which are kind of a pain in the ass in that cubby hole thing. So I got this, but the problem, once again, too long. Had to cut it down. Well, what I found is that for this model versus, like I said, I had to cut this hook down because it kind of comes out to about here. I didn't have to cut this down, but what I did still have to do is cut this down to 7 inches in total length. It's good enough to where you get enough bite for the factory battery strap to sit down in, and then the nut and the washer on top of that, and you can snug it down real good. And it also gives you enough clearance so you can maneuver this hook into the factory battery bolt, like tie down location, if you will, and hook it right in there without having to cut that. And that was a big bonus for me right there. So having said that, I'm going to cut this one down to 7 inches as well, and then we're going to install that battery. All right, I'm going to do my best to show this to you. This is, you know, should be familiar to a lot of you guys, is the factory cubby hole for the battery in the rear of the C6, Z06, and ZR1. And this battery hold down right here, this point here, and there are what we're going to be hooking into. There's a spot that's kind of open, and then there's a hole right there. We're going to be hooking right into the holes. And here's an example of what I was talking about. Let's see if I can do this. It's really tight, and that's what kind of makes this kind of a problem to work with, is just because it's so tight. That's what she said. So we're just going to want to hook that right in there like that. Okay, it's raining like a moe here, but here's what I did. Right there is the new bolt. There's the vent tube. You can't forget about that, which this battery does have provisions for. Even though it's an AGM, you still need to vent this battery. Negative, positive, obviously, and the other new bolt. This thing is as solid as a rock. So there's a couple of tips and tricks that you need to know. First things first is that when you hook the new bolts into the holes in the mounting points, they're going to want to fall out, or they're going to want to fall down when you're trying to drop the battery in. And in order to prevent that from happening, you just get some sort of masking tape of sorts and just kind of tape it like to the wall of the battery cubby there. And that'll keep it out of the way and keep it from falling. Then you can drop the battery in, remove the tape, and then position it into place. The other thing is you're going to need to drill out the holes on the factory strap a little bit, because these bolts are bigger than the factory bolts in diameter. But otherwise, this thing is rock solid. It is not going anywhere. So there you have it. $150, $60 battery solution. These are great batteries, rated very highly, and I'm really happy with it. So yeah, there you have it. A great battery, a highly rated battery, weighs about 40 pounds in case you were wondering. Fits great in the cubby hole once you add those new bolts to it that have been modified slightly. Takes a little finagling to get it in there, and definitely don't forget that vent tube. I don't care what anybody says. If a battery's inside the vehicle, it's got to be vented. I don't care what kind it is. So, and that's why they make the vent outlet on that battery. So anyway, I hope this helps somebody. But here's the thing. It doesn't solve the problem. There's still a parasitic draw on this car somewhere, and I'm going to try to find out what it is. I've also got an idea on how to be monitored of when the battery gets low, so I know when to charge it in case I forget to hook it up to my trickle charger, which is off often. So stay tuned to my future videos, and of course, like this video, share it out if it helps somebody, and of course, don't forget to subscribe right there, because I want you to be notified of when I release more videos about this car and other cool stuff. In fact, I got to get it to the track as soon as I get some new tires on it. I don't know how soon that's going to be, but until then, I'm going to keep playing with it, and I'm going to keep enjoying it, and now I can, with the peace of mind knowing that the battery's not going to just not hold a charge and I'm going to be stranded somewhere. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video.